We dismiss history at our peril.
Liberty Nation Radio with Mark Angelides.
The FBI raids a former president's home, and the White House denies all knowledge. What has this unprecedented move done to the image of the United States government? Well, details are few and far between, yet it seems everyone has an opinion. We're going to sift the facts from the fiction today, right here on Liberty Nation Radio, here on the Radio America Network. I'm your host, Mark Angelides. On this episode, we discuss the political and legal fallout from the Mar-a-Lago raid. I want to take a moment to say a special thank you to our listeners out in Dalton, Georgia on WBAC 1230 AM. Thank you for being here. Remember, this show is proudly sponsored by LibertyNation.com, where you can access podcasts, breaking news, analysis, and a range of biting and brilliant shows to whet your appetite for freedom and your fondness for the great American Constitution. The big news on everyone's lips is the raid on Mar-a-Lago. But what does that mean for President Donald Trump? And what does it mean for the Department of Justice? Well, to join us, figuring out the analysis, we have with us longtime host of this here Liberty Nation radio show, political analyst, Mr. Tim Donner. Welcome back, Tim.
Hello, Mark. Good to be here.
It's great to have you on. So I guess the first question has to be, just how unprecedented was the Mar-a-Lago raid?
Well, you know, our editor-in-chief keeps telling us to not use the word unprecedented. We tend to be on LibertyNation.com. We say, this is unprecedented. Never happened before. In this case, it's actually true, which most people know. Both sides realize this is unprecedented. And both sides, at least the responsible parties on both sides, are being cautious in assigning blame, because it would be embarrassing to say it's all, just a persecution of Donald Trump, and then we see there's something serious comes up, or that Donald Trump is obviously guilty. They can find all kinds of stuff on him, and then we find out that it was just love notes to and from Kim Jong-un. and a
mostly from,
napkin.
I presume. Mostly from.
Yes, mostly from. But some too, as well, I understand. And a cocktail napkin that was supposedly pilfered by the president from the 45th president from the White House. I mean, look, this is entirely unprecedented. And the Rubicon that it's crossed now is that Republicans, when they come to power, are going to tee off on Democrats, are going to tee off on the Department of Justice. They're going to tee off on Attorney General Merrick Garland. And I equate this to some degree, Mark, to when the Democrats, Harry Reid, decided to pass a filibuster breaker, essentially, by having federal judges below the Supreme Court level able to be approved on a simple majority. Well, that opened the door for Mitch McConnell, when he came in, to require only 51 votes for a Supreme Court justice. So what's good for the goose is good for the gander in politics, and this sets an extremely dangerous precedent of basically targeting someone who is a political opponent, even if there is reason for the raid, which seems hard to believe, given that Hillary Clinton did something far more egregious. And she wasn't the president, whereas Donald Trump was the president and has the ability to instantly declassify any document that he chooses. Now, he probably didn't go through that process, but all the accounts are that this was, about presidential records and materials that he took out that he shouldn't have. If that's all it is, it's hard to believe that this wasn't a dramatic overreach.
Yeah, I remember back in April, Kash Patel, who was a Donald Trump staffer, and there were 15 boxes with classified materials. But Kash Patel pointed out that President Trump had declassified all those materials, and therefore he was absolutely allowed to have them. And of course, nothing came from that because, as you point out, a president can declassify whatever he darn well wishes, or she, as the case may be in the future. So Donald Trump, he's really no stranger to investigations. It seems that he's been under scrutiny since he first declared for the presidency, when he came down that golden escalator all those years ago. And so I figure he's probably not too worried right now, unless there's, of course, information that we don't know about, the unknown unknowns, as it were. But I want
Right.
your political analysis on this situation, Tim. How does this play out when we take into account the historical context?
Well, the one possible analogy would be to Richard Nixon, of course, because he was the only president that actually resigned under fire and ultimately was told by people in his own party that it was time to go because he had lost his support in Congress. He could not have survived either an impeachment or likely a conviction. Probably would have been convicted in the Senate. So the question became when he left, what's going to happen to him? Well, Gerald Ford quickly pardoned him. And that, by most accounts, at least contributed to, if not cost, Ford the 1976 election against Jimmy Carter. Historical context, I mean, there's been nothing even remotely like a former president being raided by the top law enforcement authority in the country. I mean, it's so unprecedented that both sides are kind of chilled by it. You even see people on the left that are like, boy, I mean, I hope that there's good reason for this. Because, I mean, you even saw Andrew Cuomo, among others, saying that this was dangerous. Of course, he's disgraced himself, so his opinion doesn't mean much, but there is no historical precedent for this as in terms of what happens to the extent to which this is related to the January 6th committee, because they say it isn't. But gee, it sure is happening just after they finished the January 6th committee hearings. So, and of course, he took the fifth in the case against Trump. The Trump organization.
Letitia James.
From Letitia James, the Attorney General of New York. So he's under fire on that score, too. So they're aiming all their cannons at him, which is interesting, Mark, because a lot of people think that Donald Trump might be the only one who cannot win the presidency, the only Republican who can't win the presidency in 2024. And others think he's the only one who can. So it's a total wild card, and it is territory that we have never entered before.
Yeah, there seems to be no confidence in what's going to happen in 2024, whereas usually we have politicos and pundits and newspapers almost declaring that they have the crystal ball the eye of Sauron on what's happening. But it's really until the dust settles. This is really it's anybody's game, and any predictions are, well, they're just not worth their weight in wind.
They
now,
really aren't.
How does this look for Joe Biden and the Department of Justice at the moment? Because the White House said that the White House administration learned about it at the same time the public did. Now, you'd think with something that is, as you rightly say, unprecedented, that they would at least give a heads up to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
I don't think there's anybody that believes that the White House didn't know about this in advance. They may not have. I have no idea. They claim they didn't. But who on the Republican side believes that Biden and his people didn't know about this? Nobody that I know. And nobody on the Republican side believes that Biden wasn't behind it. The assumption will be among the professional class and among the voters that the White House did know about this, and they will make their judgment accordingly as to whether it was about time they raided Donald Trump, or how dare they raid Donald Trump. We know the case of Sandy Berger from the Clinton administration, an official who went into the National Archives and actually stuffed materials into his pants and crotch and socks and walked out with it, and he got a slap on the wrist. He got a 3-year temporary suspension of his security clearance. But look at Barack Obama obviously took a whole lot of materials from the White House. I would suspect every president did. I mean, because you only become president once, you want to be able to
It's a souvenir, Tim.
Yes,
it's a souvenir.
Memorabilia, like the love notes from Kim Jong-un and the cocktail napkin. So, I think it's a matter of, it's selective prosecution, Mark. I mean, an attorney general, a Department of Justice can target whoever they want and not target whoever they want. And there's millions of crimes being committed in this country. So the discretion level is extremely high in the Department of Justice. And obviously, they're doing everything they can, along with Letitia James, the Attorney General of New York, to do everything they can to disgrace this guy, if not get him off the ballot for 2024, because it now appears more certain than ever that Donald Trump will run again. He's become a martyr.
And we'll talk about that particular issue when we come back after this short break. We dismiss history at our peril.
Liberty Nation Radio with Mark Angelides.
We're doing it for real, really real. Liberty Nation.
And Jeff Charles, contributor for LibertyNation.com.
I think we're starting to make an impact. Liberty style, fight for freedom.
Maybe tracking polls sponsored by Liberty Nation for Thursday.
Mentioned by Dan Bongino, Rasmussen, Jordan Peterson, and
I
others.
can do it again if you want me to.
Cited in Mark Levin's American Marxism.
I think we're starting to make a really big impact. Get noticed. We're doing it. Rock on. I'm gone.